the BalKony Chillz Podcast.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
This time we're diving into something that blends history, cosmology, and biblical interpretation. You've given us some sources that point towards a really intriguing idea. What if mankind inherited civilization rather than invented it?
These sources really challenge the usual idea that humans are the center of the universe, Instead, they offer what we could call like a christocentric perspective.
Okay.
So think of it this way. A universe where everything revolves around Christ, and a much larger story is unfolding. And we humans, we're just one part of this grand cosmic drama.
Okay, help me unpack that. So our source material talks about this elder race intelligent beings that were around long before humans.
Right.
It's like those sons of God mentioned in the book of Job, rejoicing as the earth is reformed. What were they doing in the universe before we showed up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? These sons of God in Job hint at a huge period of history before Adam. And there's this idea of a plurality of worlds, suggesting there are many kingdoms beyond Earth, each ruled by these beings called princes and principalities.
So we're not talking about angels just hanging out on clouds.
Oh.
These are powerful beings, possibly ruling other worlds long before humans even existed.
Exactly.
And it sounds like there was some kind of galactic rebellion among them, started by a powerful being, kind of like a cosmic Voldemort. I'm curious, who exactly was rebelling and what was this conflict about?
But think about it this way. The book of Enoch describes angels called watchers, who rebelled against God by sharing forbidden knowledge with humans.
Okay.
This could be what the Bible is hinting at with these sons of God and their fall from grace. And when you think about Earth in Genesis, it's described as without form and void, like a total mess. That could be the aftermath of this cosmic war.
That's intense. It makes you wonder if Earth as we know it is actually like a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
So where does this Rahab fit into all of this? The sources mention it in connection with this rebellion. And you suggested it might have been a whole planet destroyed in this cosmic war.
The Bible uses a technique called esotericism. Think of it like hiding secret messages within the text.
Yeah.
Like a code waiting to be cracked.
Okay.
When we decipher the symbolism surrounding Rahab, it really points to a shattered planet. And it's interesting to think, could the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter
Hold on.
be the remains of that destroyed world?
Are we saying that the asteroid belt is literally pieces of a planet blown apart in some ancient cosmic battle?
Yeah.
It's a wild idea.
It's a possibility worth considering. And if we follow this line of thought, the sources suggest that Jesus, who's referred to as the arm of the Lord, had a major role in this pre-Adamic conflict. So it kind of changes the whole picture.
Yeah.
Jesus isn't just a savior for humanity,
Right.
but a cosmic warrior who quelled a rebellion on a galactic scale.
Okay, that's completely changing how I think about the whole story of creation. It's mind-blowing to think about Jesus being active in the universe long before he came to Earth.
Yeah.
But now let's get to something that's always fascinated me. Megaliths. These massive stone structures we find all over the world, like Sacsayhuaman in Peru, they've always been a mystery. What are they trying to tell us?
Megaliths are like giant encrypted messages from the past. They were built with incredible precision, with stones moved over huge distances and fitted together perfectly without any mortar. We still struggle to replicate that kind of technology today.
Yeah, it's almost like they were built to withstand an apocalypse.
Yeah.
They were designed to last for eternity, not just for a few generations. These builders were thinking long-term in a way we can barely grasp.
Right.
You actually mentioned that your colleague excavated at Sacsayhuaman and found pre-Incan artifacts below the walls.
That's right.
Which really throws a wrench into the idea that the Inca built it. And their earthquake-resistant design is just unbelievable. Did they know something we don't about surviving cataclysmic events?
It's the thing about megaliths, they seem to be designed to outlast even the most catastrophic events. They're like time capsules encoding knowledge in their structure and their alignment with celestial bodies.
Speaking of celestial alignments, the Great Pyramid has always intrigued me. Even Isaac Newton thought it might be encoding information about the Earth's dimensions. What other astronomical secrets do these megaliths hold?
Well, Great Pyramid is incredibly precise in its alignment with true north, which is amazing, even with today's technology. And it's not the only one. The Sphinx aligns with the age of Leo around 10,500 BC.
Wait a minute. So we're seeing the same astronomical marker, Leo, around 10,500 BC in both Egypt and Peru. Does this mean there was a global civilization that built these megaliths? One that existed before the flood?
That's what the evidence suggests. These structures, even though they're far apart, share similar construction techniques and astronomical alignments that point to the same time period.
Yeah.
Makes you think, were we dealing with a civilization that had advanced knowledge of astronomy, geometry, maybe even knew about cataclysmic cycles?
This is blowing my mind. We're talking about a technologically advanced global civilization that got wiped out by some catastrophic event, possibly the flood, which might have happened much earlier than we thought. But how does Jesus the Gospel fit into all of this? It seems like we've jumped from ancient civilizations to biblical stories.
That's the key question.
Yeah.
When we look at the Gospel through the lens of this vast cosmic history, it takes on a whole new dimension. We see Jesus not just as a savior for humanity, but as a key player in this grand cosmic drama that's been going on since before mankind even existed.
I love how you're connecting these seemingly different things, ancient myths, astronomical alignments, and biblical narratives to paint a bigger picture. You mentioned the debate between the Masoretic text and the Septuagint regarding pre-flood timelines. Could you break that down for me a bit?
Sure. The Masoretic text, which is what most modern Bibles are based on, places the flood relatively recently.
Okay.
But there's an older version of the Bible called the Septuagint that suggests the flood happened much earlier. This opens up the possibility that the flood happened around 10,500 BC, which aligns with something scientists are looking at called the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis.
This date, 10,500 BC, keeps popping up, doesn't it? Sphinx, the temples in Cusco, and now this Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. What is that exactly?
The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis proposes that a comet hit the North American ice sheet around 10,500 BC, causing massive floods, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. This lines up with flood myths from all over the world that describe catastrophic events that reshaped the Earth.
So are we talking about a comet impact a global flood and the destruction of this advanced civilization all happening at the same time? It's almost too much to take in. But where does Jesus fit into all of this? You said that the gospel has a deeper message than just heaven or hell.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
The gospel is about redemption and restoration. It's about coming back to God's family, healing the separation from him. It's like the story of the prodigal son. He squanders his inheritance, but is welcomed back with open arms by his father.
The prodigal son, to me, really captures what we're talking about. Reuniting with something we've lost, reclaiming our place in the universe. It goes beyond just forgiveness. It's about returning home. But we were talking about megaliths earlier. Is there a connection between this idea of restoration and the knowledge encoded in these ancient structures?
That's a great question. I think there is a deep connection. These megaliths seem to point to a time when humanity was more in tune with the earth and the cosmos. They suggest a level of spiritual awareness and technological advancement that we've lost touch with.
It's like these structures are leftovers from a golden age.
Yeah.
A time when humanity was more connected to the divine, to the source of creation. And the gospel message is about bringing us back to that state of wholeness. It's about healing the brokenness that has separated us from God, from each other, and from the natural world. But it's not just about our personal relationship with God, right? We talked about cataclysmic cycles. What did you mean by that?
The idea is that Earth's history is marked by periodic cataclysms. Huge events that reshape the planet and change the course of civilization. We've talked about the flood, possibly caused by a comet. But there are other theories and traditions that point to other catastrophic events that have happened in the distant past, and maybe even events that could happen in the future.
It's like those ancient myths are echoes of past disasters, warnings from our ancestors about how destruction and renewal are part of a natural cycle. But if these cycles are real, does that mean we're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? Are we heading for another global catastrophe?
That's a question that has been on humanity's mind for a long time. But knowledge is power. The more we understand about these cycles, the better we can prepare for them, and maybe even lessen their impact.
So it's about learning from the past, understanding the wisdom of our ancestors, and taking responsibility for our role in the grand scheme of things. It's realizing that we're not just visitors on this planet, but participants in its evolution.
Exactly. And the choices we make today will determine the future of humanity and the Earth.
This whole conversation has been incredible. It's both empowering and humbling to consider the vastness of time, these cycles of creation and destruction, and our role in this grand cosmic dance. But before we wrap up, I want to hear your final thoughts on what all of this means for us. For those of us listening who are trying to grapple with these ideas, it really has been quite a journey for me. It's almost overwhelming to think about the scale of all of this.
Yeah.
Lost civilizations, cosmic battles, events that span millennia. It makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it? Where do we even begin to make sense of it all?
It's true. It can be humbling to confront the vastness of time and the forces at play in the universe. But I think that's also where the beauty lies. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves, something that's been unfolding for eons. And within that story, we have a role to play.
I get that. But it's also a bit terrifying, right? To think that there are these cycles of destruction, that maybe we can't control everything. It makes you wonder, what's the point of it all?
I understand that feeling.
Yeah.
But maybe instead of trying to control everything, we should focus on understanding our place within these cycles.
Okay.
The ancient builders, the ones who built those incredible megaliths, they seem to have a different perspective. They weren't just thinking about their own generation.
Right.
They were thinking about preserving knowledge for eternity.
That's a good point. It's like they understood that there would be future generations, maybe even future civilizations who would need that knowledge. They were leaving behind a message, a legacy.
Exactly. And maybe that message isn't just about technology or astronomy. Maybe it's also about a way of being, a way of living in harmony with the Earth and the cosmos.
So you're saying that these ancient structures, the myths, even the gospel, they're all pointing us towards a different way of understanding ourselves and our place in the universe?
I think so. They're offering us a glimpse into a deeper reality, a reality that's connected, meaningful, and ultimately hopeful.
It's interesting, at the beginning of this deep dive, I was excited about the mystery, the idea of uncovering lost secrets. But now I'm finding myself more drawn to the bigger questions. What is our purpose? How do we live a meaningful life in the face of all this vastness?
Those are the questions that have driven humanity's search for meaning since the beginning of time. And I don't think they're easy answers. But I believe that by exploring these mysteries, by questioning our assumptions and embracing the unknown, we can start to piece together a more complete understanding of who we are and why we're here.
You've given us a lot to think about. We've gone from pre-Adamic history to the gospel message, from the mysteries of megaliths to the possibility of cataclysmic cycles. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listener with as they continue on their own journey of exploration?
Just this. Don't be afraid to question, to explore, to challenge the conventional narratives. The universe is full of wonder and mystery, and the more we open our minds to the possibilities, the more we'll discover about ourselves and the incredible story we're all a part of.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So to everyone listening, keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and keep looking up at the stars. You never know what you might find. And until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of existence.